Bob, how are you?
Yeah, and I'm gonna finish the two capital things first. We're waiting for information on a V plow. Those are the, we got wastewater operations and capital. Yeah, let's close out the capital first.
Well, boards and commissions are easy.
Yep.
Fuel should be easy.
And I think the capitals are pretty easy. All it was we just wanted to
Recreation.
get a double check on the.
The containers, they're gonna use.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
I would be more comfortable. They need six of them. HVAC, heat.
Yeah. What the max 2 hours?
Yeah.
Oh, it's cold. Let me know when you're ready. You ready? Okay. Good. I'd like to welcome everybody to the second budget workshop for the town of Warren fiscal year 22-23. Could we all please rise and say the Pledge of Allegiance?
Pledge allegiance to the flag of the United States of America and to the republic for which it stands, one nation, under God, indivisible, with liberty and justice for all.
Yeah, I have a little list here of, in other words, I'd like to wrap up some of what we left open last week before we move on to anything else. And the first item I see right here is we have a couple of capital items. One was we were going to get some information on the cost of a V plow from the highway. Good evening.
All right, so I did some research on it. So currently, that quote, original quote they gave you, was for a new machine.
Okay, a new Bobcat and everything, and the plow. Okay,
Correct.
that makes a little more sense.
So that still stands as an option.
Okay,
To retrofit the current machine we have, it's about 3,500 plus or minus
Okay.
for a V plow. The problem is they stopped making that series. So he's just concerned that we're going to buy a plow for a V plow and they're not going to sell parts for this machine anymore. So that was the big concern and why we put the 25,000 down for a new version of a vehicle that they actually make and they'll continue to make parts for.
What's the current vehicle that's going on to right now? If you know.
It's a Ventrac 3400 series.
Okay. And what's the plow? Who's the manufacturer of the V plow?
Same company,
Ventrac.
correct.
But
They've moved on to a 4000 series.
of course they did.
Apparently right after we purchased the 3400. So they were looking into John Deere's and or Bobcats, which are more universal when it comes to attachments.
Would they have an interest in taking the 3400 back?
I could call and ask.
Just curious.
how old is the 3400?
I am not 100% sure.
Yeah, it's not that old.
A couple years, yeah.
Yeah, since we've all been sitting on council.
Yeah, okay.
How bad a shape is it?
It's not in bad shape. It's just the fact that we're looking at them not servicing that, selling the parts we need for it. Currently, right now, all the attachments are for the 4000 series, but they are still interchangeable. But obviously, in 2 years, they decided they were done with the 3400 series. How much longer do we have on 4000 series? And when does that become not interchangeable? So,
And right now, we're using a snow thrower attachment for it.
correct.
We still have the snow thrower. The
Correct.
V-plow will give us some more versatility when it comes time for sidewalks.
Yes.
Not
And
gonna
it's
solve
different
all
co-
our problems.
No, it's different configurations too. It's not just a V plow. It can be put into 3 different modes. So
Straight blade.
straight blade, the angle how you need to.
We didn't even use it this year.
No,
We've owned it for a year. I think we bought something that's obsolete. $1,000 versus 25. I mean, that's not obsolete. I mean,
Right.
I think we should spend the $3,000 on the part.
On the
Hopefully, the machine's gonna run longer than one use. We haven't even used it.
Yeah.
We've owned it for 2 years. We should worry about fixing it down the road, but it gives us a reason to break.
I'm with you there. I think
I don't know.
that's where I'm at too. I mean, hopefully it doesn't create more of a bigger headache for you.
It was a difference of a couple thousand, 23,000.
No,
Yeah, that's a big-
That's not a swing.
Yeah, that's
Yeah.
a big
Brakes
difference.
would buy a new one.
Right. The new ones are around 15.9 for the base, and that's not including any attachments. And if anybody knows anything about John Deere's, we're talking another $4,500 per attachment.
Sure.
So
Let's try to use it.
Okay, so what's the pleasure of the council on that capital item for the V-plow?
So,
It was requested, it wasn't forwarded by the manager, so actually it's at 0 on our budget right now. Do we want to add the 3,500?
John, what page?
I'm on page 20 of 24.
Who recommended it? The department that I have to pull this up.
It came from the department requested 25,000. The town manager did not forward that number. So in our budget right now where we stand, it's actually at a $0 amount.
From the manager's position, and it was a wish list from the department head.
Correct. And what it was when we found out, when we asked what it was for,
Correct.
then there was some concerns about cleaning the sidewalks around downtown. And so then we asked him to come back with another number.
is 3,500 gonna cover it or,
yes,
okay? Because if we're gonna allocate something, we want to make sure if we're a little above, that would be fine, but a little below, you're coming back to
that's
us.
the little above.
Okay.
So which plow do we have on it now currently?
We just have a snow thrower
Just the snow
and
thrower.
we have a sweeper for
Considering we own a piece of equipment that we haven't used for 2 years, we're concerned if it's gonna break. And how we would fix it. Why don't we just leave it as is?
Does the snow thrower clear the sidewalks?
If you didn't even use that this year.
So if I may, so on the department requests for Public Works, there was 70,000 for a compact Bobcat excavator, 70,000 for that. Then 25,000 for radio replacement. And then the 25,000 we're discussing, or 25,000 we're discussing here for the V plow for sidewalk maintenance, and then another 14,500 for an equipment trailer. None of those 4 items were moved forward by the town manager. And as of last week, I don't recall if we approved all but the one or what. So what else is in the revised council column where we are, it would seem appearing not to add this 25 for the.
I believe all we approved was the 76,000 for the trailer, 23,000 for the lift replacement, and the 7,700 for the gate operator. I believe
That's
that's
what I
how we
have.
moved forward, yes.
That's what I have. Okay, so we are, well, I would not make a motion to put forward any of the, or push any of the others over. But making a motion for 3,500 to be in a contingency fund to be available in case there are repairs to existing equipment, is that what we're talking about?
No, we're actually talking about buying a brand new attachment for the front of the
This
machine
number
we
was,
already
this
have.
25,000 was incorrect.
Yeah.
Okay.
It went to 3,500. And
Got it.
so you're concerned about the parts because you're not going to.
That's the concern in the future. We don't know how long they're gonna we're gonna be able to get parts for this machine. I mean,
Is
it's not
aftermarket.
a well-known, like, I never heard of the machine prior to this. So doing the research, I don't know. It's just not, well, it's not a Bobcat, you know, it's not one I'm gonna go down the street and get parts for right away.
Right, so aftermarket stuff, you might have to, you could find some stuff scrounging, but it might not be available.
Right.
Yeah, got it.
It's gonna become more scarce.
And it's gonna get worse as it gets.
But it's brand new.
Right, no, I'm just
Keep
looking.
it all relative. When
Yeah.
You're talking about
I think-
concerning about.
I think the manager wanted to weigh in with something. Kate, did you have something?
No, I was just going to say that, you know, it has been used. It has not been used a lot. So that was why my recommendation was not to fund it. I think, you know, certainly if the council wants to be able to use it in more state, more places and on more occasions, then $3,500 would allow that to happen.
So here's my position. I'm supporting of the V-plow because it'll give you the versatility to do more of the sidewalks because the snow thrower attachment right now restricts moving around some of the sidewalks. So I'm okay with the 3,500 and I'm okay with the vehicle has only got 2 years of use on it. The hours are probably low.
Right.
And, you know, I'm not saying we have to keep our fingers crossed and knock on wood and every other superstitious activity we need to do to make sure the thing still runs. But they give you the versatility to do more sidewalks where we have a lot of sidewalks to cover and folks are constantly contacting us. I think the 3,500 could make your life a little easier. So that's where I'm at.
Do you have a motion?
So I will make a motion that we replace the 25,000 with 3,500 to move forward on purchasing of the V-plow.
I'll second that motion.
We have a motion and a second to bring forward $3,500 for a V-plow purchase to the Public Works capital budget. All in favor?
I,
Kate, do you have a new number yet for that?
So it's going to go to like.
One-
Yep, 110, 200.
That's for all Public Works capital.
Capital. Is that our bottom line? We need-
I believe that is our bottom line. Do we, yeah, we probably, did we do the bottom line on all of them last week? Last meeting? Yeah, all right, so let's go for, can I have a motion for total capital $110,200 for Public Works?
And I'll second the, so.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, thank you.
Good luck.
Next, I think I saw Tara walk in. Is she
She's
here? Yep. Next, we have the recreation capital.
Do you need assistance? You sure?
I just had surgery.
How's the recovery going?
It's good, you know,
Yeah. Okay.
hard to sit still.
Yep.
Wasn't expedient.
No, I know. You talked to me before. I know what it is.
Kick someone.
No, not today.
hopefully it wasn't one of our sidewalks.
No, not good.
Okay, Tara, most of your things went through, some of them didn't. Just want to give you a chance to, we're on page 18,
Thank you.
24 now.
Yeah, we're jumping around.
If you want to comment on what went through, what didn't go through, if you,
So
That-
the.
now's your chance.
Homestead basketball courts, we're actually gonna take that out of the playground line. So I'm gonna have those refinished. I actually already talked to Neil Coffey. From, Neil Feely from Coffee's. And then, the lights and the Veterans Field upgrade, there are mitigation, grants, monies out there that Bob and Kate are gonna look into, because that's a bigger project. And so that's where the 87,000 comes in. And then the lights themselves, there are lots of rebates out there. So they feel that we can capitalize on that versus paying for
But they haven't been converted, right?
They have not been. No, I think they went in about 15 years ago. And so this, a conversion, I guess there are rebates that we can grab with that. The only other thing is the JMS Parks courts, but we can wait. I guess we'll wait till next year.
questions from the council?
What'd you say you're doing with Homestead, the basketball court?
We,
Resurface?
not resurface, like putting lines down again. It's been.
Oh, for painting the basketball?
Yeah, just relining it.
Okay.
The same as the track.
It's very, very nostalgic for me. I used to play on there when I was a kid.
Yeah, well, and before it goes to the point where you can't see it, to, redo it now.
Nice.
And that's the 11,000.
No, that's the
The
1,200.
11,000 for the track is for the track. And so the track was done,
Yeah, I was gonna
10
say,
years
what's the last,
ago.
has it been 10 years?
it's probably been 10 years ago.
We still allowing people to ride bikes on there?
I have seen people ride bikes.
Oh,
on
no,
it.
I have too. I was just curious.
Yeah, I mean, there's a certain couple that rides their bike regularly.
Yeah.
But they don't really bother anybody.
Okay.
And the kids ride them during football.
So Tara, the 1,200 for Homestead is.
Gonna come out of- yep.
The 11,670. What exactly are we doing with that money?
We're gonna reline the track and fill in any, holes, I don't wanna say holes,
Voids.
cracks or
So
anything.
redoing the
Yeah, the resurfacing it, so that it doesn't cost us more money.
Maintenance.
It's maintenance,
That's a lot of money, isn't it?
yes,
Oh, that
but
track
it's a
was,
big track.
was it a mill to put that in?
No, no, I don't believe it was that.
No.
No,
Uh,
about 100,000.
yeah, and then the top surface is another 40. Yeah, because we
'Cause
had
it's
to- we
rubberized,
got a
right?
separate grant for that, for the Champlain Foundation.
You got quotes, right? So this is.
Yes, yep, these are
And
actual
then
numbers.
this is what it is.
Okay, any other questions? I guess I'm looking for a motion for the
Is the
total
bottom line still 133?
338, yep. We didn't make any changes, so I'm looking for a motion for total of Parks and Rec capital of $133,338.
So moved.
Second.
Have a motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay.
Thank you.
You're welcome. I think the only other thing that we have on capital at this point is wastewater management.
Have you come up yet? I think last
I believe we did, I think we did go over that. Yeah, we did go over that and approve that, yeah, as it was, as presented by the town manager. Yeah, right, yep,
Because I just remembered not seeing it.
right.
I have a question for him.
Absolutely.
And like we had discussed with a small house on the beach. Is anywhere that I can come from, if not, I'd like to create something tonight.
No, I hadn't had the chance to speak to the manager. We haven't met since you would ask me about that, so.
All right, so gentlemen, ladies, one thing that has been a great success is the mini docks at the town beach. One of the detriments is trying to actually get them in the water. You don't bring two people or more, you're out of luck, because we have the rack, we have the access, we have stairs. What I'm requesting is basically a ramp that would sit, we're all familiar with the beach, right? So you have your south wall that's there, right at, say, the armpit of the wall, sandiest area, the easiest spot. We have a ramp come down to simply a T right there that low tide would sit on the mud. And high tide would be probably only 3 or 4 feet up in the water. Simple 2 mooring anchors would keep it there. And it would just allow you access into the water. I'd like to see at least 5,000 going to his budget. If you want to do that, I think you could. That would be great. And I think it would be another way of connecting people to the water and more. I mean, right now, people are going down cement stairs that, I mean, they're really not a great access point. I mean, they're there, they work, but I would actually wonder when the first person falls with the head open, going to get the ball. If we have actually something there that would work. So you think that would be enough? Maybe?
I don't have any, I honestly don't have any idea right now. I didn't look into that. You just presented that to me last week, so.
Right. I was hoping you had maybe some dock maintenance money, but if it's all gone, everything's register, at least 5 could maybe get you somewhere.
Would there need to be any CRMC?
I would suspect we have to do a CRMC.
Maybe.
Yeah, if we're gonna do any kind of alteration or addition, I suspect we'd have to go through the CRMC. for that.
Yeah, any type of doc needs their approval, yeah.
And I like the idea. Thank you. Give access to more people to use the water down there.
Yeah, I mean, there are companies out there that make floating systems that you don't have to make.
So you don't have to build it from scratch, and it's just a component that you just.
Correct. You just have
Yeah,
to figure out a way to attach it to the shore.
I support the idea. I just wonder about the number, 5,000. I mean,
It's a ramp and a floating dock, so. I was looking at the cost of the ramp, so $20 or I mean, bank ramp.
So I can tell you the 30-foot ramp at the town wharf was 6,000, just for the. And that was 2 years ago.
Here we need 30. How much do you have in your dock?
I think I'm just around 4,000, under 4,000 right now, if you some for the commercial dock. I only put 5,000 in that account to handle both town wharf and commercial docks.
And that's gonna last you the season.
Still have to go to,
Yeah.
still have to go to July 1st, yes.
Lisa, what's the calendar on our process here? We have the last night, yeah.
Yeah, so this is, hopefully we can wrap up the preliminary budget here, but you always can come back and revisit later on in the process.
So
I think it sounds like the Councilwoman Cronin has the schedule in front of her perhaps that I don't, so.
Yeah, it's, well, April 18th, there could be a third public workshop, April 27th, advertise, May 12th is approval of final budget. So by the next council meeting, together, if that's feasible.
Yeah, I should be able to get some numbers together for the next council meeting.
Kate, with the money we just added for the V plow, where are we at the cap?
So these are capital items, so they don't count towards the levy cap.
Okay,
These are things that you're funding out of your unrestricted reserve.
Okay.
So, you know, I had a target for capital. I was trying to stay, what was the number? Right around just over 1.5 is what I was recommending, 1.554. Right now you're at 1.566. It's not a huge difference, but it does not affect the levy or the tax rate.
So hopefully get something together.
I'll do that for the council meeting.
Water.
See what I can find out there. People that already have it, you know, the communities.
Thank you.
we will hear that on the 18th. Okay, now back to wastewater management. Let's do their operations and capital.
Thank you.
The first item is the air transfer pumps, such transfer pumps which were removed from the recent upgrade.
You want to do me a favor and just state your name, because we do have
Okay,
people watching on
it's me,
TV? Thank you.
H2O Innovation.
Mr. President, what page are we on?
18 of, nope, sorry.
24.
There we are.
replacing 1980 Anderson, which are becoming a challenge to get parts for. We're keeping them running, but eventually there'll be a failure. There are 2 of them there now. And again, it would be consistent with the pumps that they have installed in other areas of the facility.
Absolutely.
First time we got the 2 in the same room. Ms. Mishu, why did you not recommend these?
Sure. I mean, I agree that all these items are necessary. Unfortunately, we did just spend $21.7 million at the wastewater plant. So what I was hoping is, since there is an unprecedented amount of infrastructure funds that we expect to flow into the state at the end of 2022, what I was proposing is to take all those items and roll them into a grant application. I'm assuming that it would be a 25% match required locally. It may be less than that. But that was the assumption that I made in my request. Again, if the council wishes to allocate more funds, I agree that all these things are necessary. It's not that I don't think any of them aren't, but I also would not like to see us spend our funds if, later on this year, there's going to be a lot more money available to us.
One additional follow on all of this. Everybody, because we're not borrowing and because our surplus general revenue fund balance is always available, I think that some of the things that we're doing right now is kind of what I'm thinking. So we should try to see what we can get. And if any of these need to be replaced out of necessity, there's nothing barring the council from buying things out of the general fund.
Emergency expenditures, yeah, absolutely.
Yeah.
Yep.
So it's not that you pointing these things out isn't merited, it is, but I think we should. I mean, we've been so successful at getting federal funds down there. Just maybe we can do it again, and then if not.
So this would be a delay into next year after we see what the funding comes in and what's available.
Right. I mean, by budgeting grant matching funds, we'd be able to go for those grants without delay. So, if the funds became available at the end of 2022, we wouldn't have to wait. We could go after them in next fiscal year and hopefully get them in next fiscal year.
If you can deal with that delay.
Well, we can deal with it. I'm just bringing that to your attention, the items that we feel are necessary
Right.
in the near future.
And is the process different even if we didn't have any matching funds in the budget? If again, something came up, we could still have a meeting and take the money out of the general fund to match the funds.
You could,
If they're available.
You could, this just kind of streamlines the process, because for a lot of the applications, they want to see that you have the match already committed. And in this case, we can kind of throw a wide net and say, yes, here's the match funds, we have them committed.
And is that what $100,000 is?
That's, no, the 100,000 is the general repairs account.
Bottom line, I'm
The
sorry.
match account would be 78,750.
Yep.
And we do have that 100,000 account available for general repairs. I mean, typically that goes towards if we have a break or we have something that we didn't anticipate. That's what those funds would be used for. But they're flexible funds that could be used for failures in other areas of the plant as well.
So between now and the grant process next year, that if something came up, we could facilitate fixing it quickly and having funds available. Okay.
I think it's important for the council to have the information in front of you, though, because if there is a failure, we need to come back to the council. These will most likely be the items that you're seeing.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Okay.
Might there be other items that would be added to the list of that? Isn't there like a light system development?
So we're looking at a few things. The disinfection system is one thing that we're looking at. Actually, we've been looking at an alternative to UV with the help of H2O Innovations, looking at the potential to utilize peracetic acid at the plant. There's some analysis that needs to be done before it can be determined if that's appropriate for our location, but it's something that's much lower energy usage, but an alternative to fluorine. The other major expenditure that we have coming down the road is the electrical system. The electrical system needs a significant amount of work. It's probably about $2 million worth of work, maybe more. So that is something that certainly we're going to be targeting federal funds for that. It is a resilience project. It is something that's been damaged because of the coastal location of the plant. So we're already working on that.
Said the electrical,
Electrical, yes.
which wasn't part of the whole upgrade.
No, no, the service was, but this is the actual electrical switching within the plant.
I didn't mean to cut you short. I just wanted.
No, no,
to
no.
talk about that.
No, like I said, these are items we think
Yeah.
are necessary, and Kate and I had these discussions. We just wanted to bring it to the council.
It sounds like we're comfortable with the number that the manager put forward, and if we have to move later on at a later date to do something, we can do that as we need to.
Yeah.
Okay, can I have a motion for the total for the capital for the wastewater
I'll make a motion.
management, 178,750?
Yeah, I'll make a motion that we approve the 178,750 as put forward by the manager for the wastewater management.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, well, we got you standing up, Dale. Let's go to the operating expenses. That's going to be. I have it in my book. I didn't find it on this one yet.
It's one page prior.
Yep.
We're holding that same, it's the same.
Okay.
So a lot of these items came from estimates from working with our existing budget. Obviously, as Mr. Kamiga just distributed to you, we know the operations expense, the contract has been set, the price is set. The operations expense is, there's a reduction that we're anticipating due to the new utility rates that we're seeing in town because of the work that's been done to bring our rates down through signing that power purchase agreement. You'll see I put at your places a chart that shows the usage and the cost that we've seen, the reduction in cost that we've seen since January, since the new rates took effect. It's about a 14.5% decrease in the rate. So when you combine more efficient equipment with a better rate, good things happen. There's a new line item that we didn't carry on here before, and that's for insurance claim. Unfortunately, we've had a number of insurance claims due to backups. We had some significant backups in the Child Street, Market Street area. We do have a cap with our insurance company, and over that cap, they do not cover our claims. So we have a deductible for each claim that's filed, then there's above the cap, we're responsible. So based on the experience that we had this year, Fung had requested that we put a line item in for insurance claims, just in case we exceed that cap. If we don't need that money, we won't spend it, but at least if we need it, it's there. Don't flush grease down the toilet or in the drains.
Is that just a percentage?
It's a percentage-based estimate, yeah.
Yeah, and with the savings from the utilities, it looks like we're still pretty much under last year's number anyway, so.
Right.
Any other questions?
Sludge disposal, I added a certain a percentage just based on what we might see for fuel surcharges. We haven't seen those fuel surcharges come through yet, but we're expecting to see them.
And we're cutting it pretty close to that. Now.
Questions? We have a motion on the operating for wastewater management in the amount of $1,722,847.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you. All right, I believe that wraps up the capital and operations. The one thing I do remember that we have left from last meeting was with the fire marshal information. Chief, would you come up? That would go back to his operating.
Oh, we got to go.
I'd like to revisit the rescue stipends as well.
Let's do the fire marshal first. Chief, the floor is yours. You were gonna do some research and come up with some new wording for us.
Yep, I, working with Manager Misha, we revised, added job description, of what the position currently does to include training coordinator. Right, the position is teaching firefighter 1 class together. So it's now in the full job description, fire marshal training coordinator. Reflects the same town budget. With that, I am still looking to request the 58,000 as requested.
Okay, how does the council feel with the updated job description? We did talk about this last month.
I make a motion to approve the increase so that it's up to a standard that we can have that position with a responsible person, making a good wage for that service.
I'll second that motion, added that the new language that the chief has presented, that the job description has now been revised.
I have copies here if you'd like as well.
Thank you.
The number of 58,000.
Correct.
And the number of 58,000 for the salary. Thanks, chief.
Mr. President, I support that. I think it's the right thing to do. At some point, I would like to revisit a few of the department salaries that have been approved, and it might come in the context of discussion of this draft amendment that was proposed by the manager in regard to policy of new non-union supervisory personnel hired after a for upping that salary would be made to have a discussion about a few others as well.
Well, actually, everything's on the table. We haven't closed the budget out yet, so.
It doesn't have to be right this minute. We
Yep.
can, if we're passing this one, approving this, that's great.
Yeah.
Well, again, for my position on this literal position, this salary was created out of thin air. I'm comfortable with the 58 so that it can be accurate to the responsibilities.
Yeah, we have a motion and a second to increase that line item for fire prevention marshal / training coordinator to $58,000. We have a motion and a second. Any other discussion? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, Mr. DePasquale, you wanted to readdress
Yes, I do.
another item?
When we look at the requests here, what page are we on?
You're gonna go to 10 of 24.
10.
So we had the, let's see, where is it? All right, so we had, last year was 352.5. The department request was 565.6. Manager was at 434.2. So it looks like a 23% increase. And why I say looks like, again, when we have the cost as well as the position, it's the position that you have to take into account when you look at what we're trying to do with our dollars in the town of Warren. Public safety is always the most important when it's our loved ones, neighbors, or even people visiting our town. The hourly stipend, or not, is it hourly or is it
It's a
shift?
stipend for shifts. They do a 12-hour shift.
And at the 434,200, what does that come out to approximately
So
per shift?
to transfer it to an hourly rate, it's just about just under $15 an hour. You remember, this calculation is always keeping in mind money aside for the second and third call, which is a unknown number. And then you're gonna have while the first truck is out of town. It's easy to set the number for that first truck, 365, 24 hours a day, 2 people or 3 people now we do, keep somebody back. But we always have that formula to include approximately 800 second calls and third.
So in your experience, and the chief's here, if we need even older,
If we need the older chief?
older reference material, would you say do we have an increase in personnel, or do we see a slight decrease going out to paid communities? Where are our quote volunteers who are not volunteers?
There's a decrease. You see it in the news every day, right from the hospitals down, it trickles down to us. They recently brought in the National Guard to assist the hospitals. What caused that? COVID, the lack of classes, early retirements, I don't know. But long and short of it, it affected the medical field on a whole, from the doctors right down to EMT school, where many of them stop.
Now, if I joined the fire department tomorrow and wanted to help on the rescue squad, I couldn't.
You couldn't. You got to take an EMT class. It's about a 6-month training, 5-month training, get through that EMT, and then start doing things.
Chief, what's the stipend for the 12 hour? What is it, 180?
Currently, we're paying 160 for
160.
for a 12-hour shift.
Okay, so 160.
And $45 for that second call. Somebody that's home,
Yep.
phone goes off, they respond, take the truck in.
Yeah, okay.
So,
So,
what I'm looking for is a potential increase, because the more I think about our shortages, the more I am concerned about actual gaps. And Chief, if we didn't have people there, what would we do?
Call 911 and it's a delayed response. Where are they coming from? They're retoning, hopefully one of us show up, or mutual aid coming in from who knows how far away.
So literally, the answer is we would do nothing but wait.
Correct.
And how many rescue personnel do we have currently that are able to do this job?
We have about 40 on our roster that are actively doing shifts now. Some do one shift a month. We don't. Again, they're still volunteers. There could be today we had one EMT on all day, BLS only. So we had 3 spots off. We had one. Could be none. Just turn going off and hope somebody's around.
Right.
But it's still a volunteer. We don't force anybody to sign up for a shift. It's at their own free will.
So I bring this to everyone's attention because we are not only during the budget process, but we are in a situational time where we were off different for 2 years, but it didn't decrease our rescue runs going in and out of the COVID. So one of my concerns is the lack of ability to bring in the people we need. And I'm not positive at $15 an hour, this is going to be a sustainable amount for these positions. I would rather be putting the money into an increase in the stipend and worry about fuel overages at the end of the budget process, where we can take that out of the general fund if our fuel line items are depleted. When we set the budget as we are, borrowed money affects our tax rate, and all of these increases every $10,000 is a penny, pretty much. Does that still stand true
On the tax rate?
on the tax rate? I mean, I don't know how far off we were in the past, but I used to think that the formula was pretty much for every $10,000 we spend, it increases the taxes by a penny.
so Chief, what's Bristol doing for their, well, they've got the paramedics, but they also do rescue stipends.
They're just starting, they're still only paid per call for the.
They still go by
truck-
the call.
For the truck side,
Okay.
not counting the,
So were you looking to get it to 180 for a stipend, or were you looking to get it a little higher?
you know,
180 is 15 an hour,
correct.
you know.
The high formula requested was 240 for a shift.
Yep.
For that 3 people, leave some money for that second and third call. Another formula is at, let's call it $18 an hour, was $216 a shift. That's a 12-hour shift.
Yep.
And that would be at $509,040, an increase of $74,840 from the $434,200 to get me to that $18 an hour range.
I wanted to ask that, is it the manager's suggestion was 434,200, and that gets us to 18?
15.
Just
there.
under
That's
15.
that.
Okay,
For that,
so on the lower end of that.
Yeah.
yeah.
So
And the number to get you to the 18?
509, I think is what he said.
509040.
To butt in, you'd have to add to that the increased cost in FICA. So at 18 an hour, the increased cost in FICA would be 5,725.26. So you'd have to add that as
So it'd
well.
be about $80,000 above.
Okay, 80,565.26.
So Kay, what about if we split the difference and went at $200 flat? What's that gonna get us? I know it's like 16 change an hour, but plus FICA.
At 16 flat an hour, the line item,
1666, but
the line item here would be 456, 480, and then we need just another 1704.42 for FICA. So the total increase would be 23,984.42.
so the 434 number becomes 452,
That would be 456, 480.
456. What did you say, 456 what?
480.
480, okay, thank you.
And one of my lines of thought is to create a budget that we can look at and then see where we are in the cap if we need to go back and reduce versus creating a budget that may not have potential increases in departments that we do feel should be increased. So again, I'm advocating for this, but I'm fully aware if it isn't within the cap,
Right.
then we can't. But my logic and way of thinking in this process to actually try and get it out there on paper, look at it, see if it can work.
And I mean, I agree 100% what you're saying, but we don't have to get to the cap.
Oh, no, I
Yeah,
understand
yeah.
that, but I also don't want to buy a hamburger from
Right.
somebody making more money than somebody coming to save our lives.
Yep.
And I think retention is huge. And I do know that if and when the day comes that we have a full paid department, expect to quadruple our budget now and go to about 8 people on duty. So $2 million is not what we can handle, but I do think we can increase some funding here to keep what we have working with respect and dignity for the people who are doing it.
Okay, do we have a motion to amend that line item?
So
Well,
what,
we're still playing around with a bunch of numbers. So
Right.
we've got-
Yeah.
Yeah,
I thought the 456 was the number that Steve.
well, that's the one that I just threw forward.
Yeah,
That
which
kinda landed
gives
in the
us-
middle.
Yeah.
and that will get us $16 an hour,
It's 1666.
1666
Yeah.
per hour, which is up from 15.
Well, we weren't even at 15.
I'd like to go to 20 an hour.
1330.
So would I, Joe. I do.
All right, so I make a motion, we go to $20 an hour.
I'm
See what
just,
the numbers look like.
but that plus the FICA and everything else that we're trying to do, we haven't even revisited the.
Paid department is $2 million.
Well, I
You
think
get-
we're a long way off from a paid department in the town of Warren. when it comes to-
I'm not,
Yeah,
I listen to these gentlemen, I respect them. I don't hear that. If the calls go off and the people with the qualifications aren't there.
Yep.
We may be a lot closer than you think.
Our EMS call volume went up 324 calls last year. We did 2,671 EMS alone last year.
And how many of them were COVID related?
I don't have that exact number, but.
Yeah.
26.
So if you went back 2 years, and I don't want to turn this into a civics or a debate about your calls for service, but if you went back 2 years before the COVID calls came in, I'd be curious to see what those numbers are compared to today.
I think those are in your.
Yeah, 3 and change.
I think
Yeah.
you have them in your book.
I don't think you went up
report.
300% back in 2019 from 2018.
2019 is 2294.
23 last.
Some of it's in the packet.
All right, well, we did have a motion. Is there a second for Councilman DePasquale's motion?
Well, I think we need to break that down to what's that actual number. We know that the 1666 an hour comes out to 456,480.
What does the 20 come up to?
Yeah.
Is that the 565.6?
What is it?
Yes. The 565.6 comes out to $20 an hour for 3 people, equal to $240 a shift, 365 days a year. And it leaves $40,000 for that second and third call, increasing theirs to about $50 per call, 45 or 50 per call for that.
So these are guesstimates based on the calls from the past.
Oh, so it's right
So
here,
we may
okay.
not-
Yeah.
We may not.
Yeah, so
utilize
his-
Yeah.
Yeah,
565.6, we may call below it.
Correct. I mean, you don't know how many second calls we have, so there's 40,000 left to pay those people as well.
That comes up to $131,400 increase, not counting the FICA.
And what would the FICA,
Increase from the manager's request. And I don't,
The FICA increase on top of that would be 10,052.
so you're talking, we'd be adding about 141,000 to the budget.
And I wouldn't mind spending the time to go back through this budget and cut things. I think that we should, obviously, a budget is a prioritization of where you want your money to go. And I think last week, this discussion got cut a little bit short, and that's why I brought it back up. And I do have no problem going back through the budget and prioritizing. Just because we're increasing this line item doesn't mean that everything we've spent is as important.
Okay, what's the pleasure of the council?
I make a motion that we go 565, 600.
We have a motion to increase it to $565,600 above $131,400 above the manager's request. Do we have a second? Okay, do we have any other motions anyone would like to?
I would like the numbers on going to 18, because we have 1660 here, which is 456, 480, what is 18 an hour?
18 would be, would be 509,040. I would leave money for the 18,000 an hour plus 36,000 for second and third calls.
And we need the FICA on that.
And the FICA on that, the additional FICA is 5,725.26.
So the total for that would be
510.
510, yeah.
And again, that FICA it's in a different part of the budget, so you don't see the FICA in this line item.
So I would make a motion, and again, it's 509,040.
Yes.
Yep, that would increase the manager's request by 75,200, I believe.
I got 74,840.
Well, you had.
I didn't add the FICA.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
I would make a motion to increase to 509,040.
Okay, we have a motion to increase the line item for fire rescue stipend to $509,400. Do we have a second?
It's 040, isn't it?
040.
It's 509,040.
040.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you.
You're welcome. Okay, so we got that. All right, so that, I think that wraps up everything left over.
Manager Misha mentioned on fuel. Is that something that wasn't mentioned last year? Are you going to discuss that in a different?
It's up to the council. The council chose to
Oh,
address
yeah, that's
fuel.
up the top. Yep, we have the fire fuel diesel increase due to cost increases. We did talk about that last month and we continued it to here. They, I believe he has, there's 30,000 in there.
Correct.
And that, do we know what we actually spent last year?
Last year, I don't have them at about 9,000 left for this year.
Okay,
I have a question regarding the whole fuel, if I could.
sure.
Ms. Mishu, when in the past, we didn't really have electronic control, I don't think, of how we could, we have a fob now, correct?
Yep, we have a very good system.
All right, so I've been going through all of this, and I remember in the past, the reason we did it, each department, was how we could allocate the funds. But wouldn't it be better if we just had a general fuel account, and then itemize which department uses which? Why should we have it coming out of each department as a department cost?
We could do that. I mean, the only reason we do split out DPW, we'll have to split out DPW for reporting we have to report our expenses to DOT.
Right.
But we can do that administratively. It's really just council's preference, how you'd like to see the budget
I
presented.
think, I don't mind it being a separate item in each department. It kind of gives us an eye on where it's going instead of just one great big number, you know?
But we see, or maybe I didn't say it, my full thought, we could have that information. So like what I'm saying is we're looking at all of these dollars spent, and then you look at how we set the tax rate. So, you have each department having money, and at the end of the year, they may have leftover fuel that gets rolled over and this and that. We could get an itemized usage through each department, but then still just have one fuel account.
What would we put it under?
It could be under shared services. I mean, in reality, we would reallocate, if Chief Souza were to run out of fuel and Chief Borges had fuel money left in his account, we would overspend in one and take it from the other. So in reality, it's all coming from the same pocket, but it's just the council's preference, how you'd like to see the budget presented.
Would it make it easier on finance to do it out of one, or would it make it harder?
I don't think it would have any impact.
All right, and I
mean, maybe for future.
was
budgets,
just thinking of it, like, I remember that's how we used to know where it was all,
Yep.
how it was being used.
One of the things that Chief Souza and I talked about, and I spoke with Fung about it, but we don't have any recommendations at this point, is there any way to establish a fund for fuel so that if you spend less than you anticipate, you can roll it forward to the next year. And then if you have a fuel, a spike in costs, you have those funds available. We haven't really figured out how we could make that happen. So
Is anybody else doing that?
I don't know. Yeah,
Okay.
I'm not
Seem
really
like-
sure.
That would be something municipalities would be towards, given the fluctuation of fuel costs.
All right, so let's,
If there's no advantage.
well, I still want to get back to the line item, because I know there was a couple other departments, we increased their fuel dollars because we know the cost of gas is going to be higher. Apparently we did not do that with fire. There's $30,000 requested, 30,000 forwarded by the town manager. Do we want to stay with that number? Do we want to add some to that with the expected increase in fuel?
I guess maybe this is where I was thinking. So I guess maybe I don't have such a lost thought. So my thought process was, instead of trying to guess from each department what they would or wouldn't need, and we had one fuel account with one amount, then we would just be drawing off of the one. So we wouldn't really be guessing based upon what each department needs. We would just have a fuel account. Does that make sense, or
Doesn't
no?
have to be based on.
We'd still be guessing on the total fuel
Right, you
count,
guess,
yeah.
you'd have your guesstimate to the total, but you wouldn't be having a line item that it seems like every year, everybody just comes back and says they need more money. I don't know. Maybe I'm wrong. I just trying to clean it up.
We did increase the fuel allotment for public works and for police.
Correct.
But right now, we have it just at 34.
Correct. So that's where so do we want to stay with the 30? I think we increased it about a third in the other departments, didn't we?
But Chief, you said you have some left over.
We're looking at
Like 9,000. So he's got it's a fairly significant number left over. So that might help, take care of the issue.
I think we're gonna have a hard time making it through the end of this year.
Yeah.
With the cost of diesel being over $4, when I think we were paying previously $2 and change.
I think that's what Brian was, so.
So that number will just.
What's your average monthly fuel cost?
It's not withdrawn by the month. This is handled.
Okay, yes. Well, because I'm trying to figure out how many months you got left in the fiscal year and how you're going to get by with that 9,000.
I might borrow from the police department and the highway, so. It's an unknown account. We don't know where it's gonna be.
All right, so basically the point is we increased the other departments. Do we want to increase this one as well with the anticipation of the increased fuel prices?
I think it's inevitable. I mean, gas prices doubled, just. That's
All right. So can I have a motion to, if we want to increase that, if someone wants to make a motion to increase that number of 30,000?
20,000.
I think it was about a third.
Yeah.
So this would be like, this would be 10,000.
Yeah, I'm sorry.
Public works, we went at 10,000 and police 20,000.
20.
Okay.
I'll motion that we increase the fuel diesel line item for the fire department from $30,000 to $40,000.
Okay,
Second that.
We have a motion and a second to increase the line item for fuel diesel from 30,000 to 40,000. All in favor? Aye. Okay.
Thank you.
Thanks, Chief.
Thank you.
All right, let me get my stuff back together. All right, it looks like we are going to, I'm going to go back up to the top of my list here. And we're going back to the housing board cleanup. No funds have been expended this year to date.
Mr. President, are we gonna, we have a new, we should have a new number for.
Oh, yes, the total, correct.
There's a new total. I can't do that now.
The fire operating, do we have a new number?
The fire operating, the number is $1,090,752.
Can I have a motion to approve the new number for the fire operating?
I make a motion that we approve the new number for fire at $1,090,752.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
Looking at it, I'm like, wait a minute.
All right, so let's go back to the housing board, the housing court, the cleanup fund. There was 5,000 in there, none had been expended yet. I'm not sure why we carried this. I didn't know if we were going to increase it or if we were just waiting for more information.
You asked why.
Yeah, why it hadn't
Why it
been,
hadn't moved. Is it
Right.
5 or 4?
it's in at 5,000 now.
Thanks.
Yeah, and nothing's been expended. Without any more information on that, I say we're probably okay to stay with that number at this point in time. Hopefully, we can get a little bit more aggressive with the new code enforcement.
Look, I'm not a finger pointer, but I don't think it's a secret that our code enforcement department was lacking for the past few years. But now that we have a new building official and we're moving in the right direction, I think that you'll see that number actually move.
Okay,
So
do we want to stay with the 5 or do we want to go up?
I think 5,000 is more than adequate. And
Okay.
if they need to revisit, so I'll make a motion.
You have direct
Yeah, well, it's,
experience with this.
yeah,
Mr.
where
President.
I work, we're much more aggressive. I mean, we do some cleanups that are $5,000, so.
Yeah, I was gonna say,
Yeah.
$5,000 can get eaten up pretty quickly.
Yeah.
Depending on, but again, we're kind of without,
Right,
using past experience doesn't.
And if we had a specific need, we can revisit it based on
Correct.
the need.
now, Kate, I want to ask you a question on that right there. If, because the money is, we recoup it either through direct payments or liens on the property, and then when the sale goes through. Does that still stay in the loop on the cap, even though it's almost like a revolving?
It technically it does, but we have a revenue item that equals this amount, so it's a
Okay.
wash. So
Okay.
it counts on the cap, but then the revenue comes off the cap, so it's revenue neutral.
Okay, good, thank you. All right, so are we staying with the 5?
I think 5 is fine.
Yeah.
Can I have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve for the housing board cleanup at $5,000.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
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 And for the total on that municipal court, we need a motion for $50,061.
So moved.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay. Okay, and it looks like we're moving on to boards and commissions. Kate, did I miss anything that left over from last week?
The only other one that you wanted to revisit was transfer station fuel and utilities. That was one of the line items that we talked about increasing, but you wanted to know how much of the account was actually being used for fuel.
Okay, Yep.
So you have a report in front of you for the current fiscal year. Obviously, the numbers you see in front of you reflect the last load of fuel that we got, which is going to be a lot different than the next load of fuel that we get.
We don't even use the 1995 Volvo anymore, right?
It's the secondary.
Oh, that's why the museum's so low.
We used 62, we used about 7,000, and where are we at right now? What's it been put through as?
I don't know. I don't
Get
get
there.
that page.
Lots of pages.
Page 13.
So the budget request was 13,148, which is a flat request from last year. What I'm recommending at this point, based on the numbers presented to you, is that we increase that to 14,500.
So, yeah, so we're a little better than halfway through the fiscal year and we're at 7,000. So actually, we're fairly well through the fiscal year.
Right, but if you look at the per gallon cost on that report,
Yeah, 243.
yeah.
It's not gonna be 243 this year. Okay, with that information, where do we want to go? The manager's request is for 14.5.
I say we approve the 14.5
Comfortable with the 14.5?
and revisit if we need to.
Okay.
I'll make a,
I don't want to set them all too high because if we have any left over in the year, then we'll tax too high if we, I mean, it's a tight.
Yeah.
Yeah, I say go with the 14.5.
yeah, I'll make a motion that we approve the manager's request at $14,500 for the transfer station utilities and fuel.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
So that number is still correct, Kate, the 2397185?
No, the number now would be 2407185.
2407185. At least the 185 didn't change.
Okay, can we have a motion for the total for Public Works?
I'll make a motion that we approve the $2,407,185 for the total public works.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, now I believe we can move to the boards and commissions.
That's an easy one.
Lot of paperwork.
Four.
I think I went past it. Okay, first, we have the boards and commissions. We have administrative officer. Are there any questions from the council on the boards and commissions? Okay, Kate, anything you
Well, I
want
do
to?
have one quick. How come the stenographer's fee went down?
That was a calculation from the department, so it's just on the number of meetings.
Okay. All right.
Any other questions? No, Kate, anything you want to expand on or?
I don't believe I had anything in this to expand on. Yeah, it was as requested, pretty much right across the board.
Anybody from one of the boards or commissions that wants to speak on this? Okay, can we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the 41997 as put forth by the manager and the department cost for total boards and commissions.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, moving along. Let's go move along to grants and contributions. Whoever finds the page number, please shout it out. Page 9, okay.
Like bingo. There we go.
Okay, we have here, why don't we take anybody that's here to speak on it, and we'll take them in that order, the people that are here. Who is here to speak on this? All right, let's go from front to back. First person, please come up to the podium. Well, I don't, if they don't want to hang around for the whole thing.
If I could approach for a second. just to get out.
Absolutely.
I don't mind at all. Like in school, take one and pass it down. Thank you. Ed.
Good evening, members of the council, town manager. On behalf of the East Bay Community Action Program, Dennis Roy, I want to thank you for your many, many years of outstanding support for our organization and all of the things that we're able to accomplish in the town of Warren. Just want to briefly talk about calendar year 2021 statistics and programs that we provide. So the bottom line is we provided conservatively $1.3 million in services to Warren residents in calendar year 2021. had almost 12,000 interactions with ward residents. Now, that's not an unduplicated count, but it is units of service that we did provide to ward residents. Briefly, we had over 400 individuals use our community health center. We helped over 300 households with heating assistance. We provided the meals, the senior meals program, about 11,000 meals. We have 36 children from Warren that are in our Head Start program. So you can see the stats there. I wanted to spend the balance of my time, however, just talking about some new partnerships in the last few years that we've undertaken with the town, with really great support from the council, town manager, and residents. Number one, we have a little trailer here at the end of the street. We've been doing COVID testing for quite some time. The town was very responsive to this work. We were able to use some state and federal money to do this. In calendar year 2021, we did almost 5,000 tests. The good news is that presently the testing is down, the infection rate is down, but we, it was only a couple of months ago. I know in January of 22, we did almost 1,000 tests in 1 month. So, and it was, I think it's convenient for Warren residents. And so it was the town was very quick to provide some land and get us a hookup for electrical needs, and we were able to accomplish that. Recently, we were awarded a grant from the Rhode Island Department of Health to establish a health equity zone in the town. The town, once again, very receptive. We've just started our work in that environment. We're putting together an advisory body that's going to help us to define goals and objectives. And obviously, we have representation from the town. My colleague, Bob Crosley, will talk a little bit more about our work with the Recovery Center in town, which is another important project that supports police and fire departments and has been embraced by the town leadership. So I thank you for your ongoing support, and I certainly am happy to answer any questions. I was reminded earlier that it doesn't matter how long I talk, that this is what the donation will be. So I thank you, and I want to be short and better. It always is.
It was me in the elevator. I looked at it and I said, the longer you talk doesn't mean you're going to get more money. So
And I embrace that. We're very comfortable with the support that the town.
I'll make a motion that we approve the 17,000.
We have a motion.
Second.
We have a motion and a second for the East Bay Community Action Program in the amount of $17,000. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
I can vote aye. I'm no longer an employee.
Thank you.
I'm back.
Thank you, everybody.
And actually, Councilman, Vice President Kalenda actually just said, why don't we just go from the top? And you know what? Let's go from the top. So I don't get confused. Sorry.
Yeah.
Okay, so next up, are you from the East Bay Center? Yes. All right.
Hi, good evening, council members.
Good
Town
evening.
Manager Bouchard. I want to thank you so much for the allocation you gave to East Bay Center last year, 2021. And this year, I'm pleased to see the recommendation that the town manager made. I hope that passes. Just want to let you know real quick, I don't want to take a lot of your time. We serviced 245 Warren residents last year. Only one was uninsured, most are underinsured. Underinsured means that they have high deductibles or co-pays and they can't afford that. And we provide the service anyhow. So we just like, track that up as a bill and we try to pay it off some other way. We provided over 2,200 hours of services last year. 1,900 of those hours were for co-occurring disorders, mental health, substance use disorder. And we did 321 hours of psychiatry or prescriber work with folks. And we had 20 folks who were at imminent risk and had to be stabilized in a crisis and hospitalized at an acute psychiatric hospital. So those 245 residents got a lot of service. The value of the services were $353,000. We collected about $120,000 from insurance companies and from patients' fees, and it left an unsubsidized balance. That's why we appreciate the allocation you give us to help offset that. We do have a recovery center in town embedded on Railroad Street. It's very successful. We work well with first responders. We have a safe station model where we provide Narcan. We have an outreach team that provides outreach to police and fire if they found someone down who's overdosed, or just someone who walks into a station and says, I want help with my opiate issue. So we service the town well. We appreciate being a great partner. And again, I want to thank you for your generous allocations over the years. And we look forward to working with you, in the future. So thank you. Anyone have any questions? I don't mean to talk so fast, but I know it's getting late. You guys probably want to go home. So have any
This is
questions?
early, Bob.
Yeah,
Oh, okay.
I'll make a
I'm
motion.
in
that
bed
we-
by now, Joe. Usually I'm in bed. I'm on the couch falling asleep. So
I'll make a motion that we approve the $20,000 as put forth by the town manager's request for the East Bay Center.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
thanks for your generosity.
Welcome.
Have a
Next
good night.
time.
Thank you.
Thank you. Next on the list is the George Hale Library.
Thank you.
Hello.
Hi, I'm Chris Matos. I'm the new director of the
Hello.
library.
How are you?
Very
Welcome.
good. Thank you. So I just want to thank the town manager for her generous offer this year. We, like many town departments, are struggling to pay for the oil bill, and we had an increase in yard cleanup because of the storm. So, and we also hope to offer our staff a slight 2% raise. So that's why we're asking for an increase.
Well, I'm glad to see that we're as close as the manager's request is as close as it is to yours. 2 years past, it was never that close. It's only $3,000 difference. So
Yeah.
I'm glad we're on the same page there, Ms. Mishu.
I'll make a motion that we approve the 299,019 for the George Hale Free Library as proposed by the town manager.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor? Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good night.
Next, we have the grant for Memorial Day. Anyone here to speak on that?
I make a motion that we approve the $3,000.
We have a motion. Second, all in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Okay. Next, we have a grant for the visiting nurses. Anyone here to speak on that?
I'll make a motion that we approve the $1,000 line item.
We have a motion for 1,000.
Second.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Next, we have Discover Warren.
I'm recusing myself.
Okay.
You may not have to last. I'll make a motion that we approve the $3,000 for the Discover Warrant.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay. Kerry, you can come back.
You're welcome.
Next, we have the Warren Beautification Project.
Kate, what exactly do we do with that $200?
So this is a request that was filed for the blue pots.
Okay,
So this is the amount that was requested
okay.
for that project.
Can we do something like we've had conversations, I know I've had it with my other council members, about increasing the plantings on Main Street from possibly Child to Cutler, Park Road. Could that go under this line item?
I would recommend it go under a different line item unless you were going to ask an outside group to undertake that work.
So what would you recommend that we do that with?
I would probably put that under Public Works.
Okay. All right, fair enough. Thank you. That's all I have.
Okay. Can we have a motion?
I'll make a
on-
motion that we approve the $200.
We have a motion? All in favor?
Aye.
Next, we have Warren Arts Night.
Oh, somebody's here.
Please come forward. Hello.
I'd like to thank the town council for supporting Art Night Bristol Warren. This is our 11th season, offering free and affordable art activities to the town. So thank you again.
You're welcome.
Do you have
Thank
any
you.
questions?
So we hope that you have much more participation this year. Because of the COVID situation.
Well, I think what we're going to do, we're doing a little differently this year. We're going to focus on in Warren, geographic areas and trying to just, get a lot of people to go into one particular Main Street, Market Street, month and then another month, Water Street. But we had so many venues open last year that it was hard for people to get to every single one.
Right, spread a little thin. I think
Yeah,
that's a
so
great idea.
we're going to try to focus in one area at a time. Other people can be open as well, but that's what our goal is.
Any other questions?
Any questions?
Anybody? I'm interested in increasing it to 2,000, go up 250. I like a round number.
Make a motion.
I'm gonna make a motion that we increase this to $2,000 for a warrant out night.
We have a motion for $2,000 up from the 1,750. Do we have a second?
Second.
We have a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
Thank you very much. I appreciate it.
Thank you.
We appreciate it.
See that, you don't even ask.
Well, yeah,
Next, we have the Bristol County Baysiders.
Interesting approach.
Is anyone here from the Bristol County Baysiders? Kate, would you like to speak on their behalf?
Sure, always a worthy organization. They are not asking for an increase, just 1,500, so I support their request.
Okay, any questions of the council? No. Can we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the $1,500 for the Bristol County Baysiders.
We have a motion
Second.
and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next we have Eastern Rhode Island Conservation District. Anyone here to speak on that?
Sarah Churgan is not able to attend. She sends her regrets. There's a letter in your backup explaining the reason for the request. Eastern Rhode Island Conservation District is working with NRCS to bring project funds to the town of Warren. According to the letter, the dollars that were obligated to the town in 2021 was $63,694, which is a pretty good return on investment. I expect we're going to have more in the near future where we will be seeking to work with NRCS. I know Bob's already working on some things. So hopefully Eastern Rhode Island Conservation can help with the community outreach portion of those projects. They also do work with agricultural properties, helping with maintenance plans and that type of work for some of our agricultural properties in town.
Okay, any questions from the council? Can we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the $1,500 for the Eastern Rhode Island Conservation District.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next we have Bristol Warren Education Foundation. Please come forward. And who are you? Please do state your name for anybody at home.
Pasta. I'm the chairperson of the board of the Bristol Warren Education Foundation. So first of all, thank you for your many years of support. I wasn't going to come, but since I'm here, I'm going to say a couple things and thank you for your support even through COVID, because it was not easy being a nonprofit focused on bringing people and ideas and innovations into schools that weren't letting anybody in. But we were able to pivot and do some COVID-related support for teachers and students, like the Nature Path behind Beautiful School, for example. During that time, and now that the schools are opening up again, grants that weren't able to run that got funded in balance of 2020 last year and even this year are now flurrying through the schools at a rapid pace. So we are moving forward, but more importantly, we're back in person celebrating again. So we did not have our usual B. We were probably the first big event in East Bay to cancel in 2020, right before everything shut down, and we had already paid for that event, so that was a loss. But we weren't able to do any sort of fun in-person activities. But we're back. We did not do the B, or you would have all been there spelling a couple weeks ago. But we've pivoted. We're doing an outdoor event May 14th in the schoolyard at Hope and Maine. There will be no spelling or competition of any kind this year. I think we could all just use a little time out. So we're having recess for grown-ups. So I hope you'll all be there. There will be spots for you, but we won't be asking you to get up on stage and compete. We'll save that for 2023. Trivia, we already have a lot of questions in the bank. There will be a trivia place at recess, but there will also be hopscotch and other outdoor fun things that we used to enjoy as kids, along with some adult fine foods and beverages. So hope to see you all there. More to come on that. But more importantly, our grants deadline for next school year is Friday, our applications. We already have a number in, and those will be reviewed by the committee and voted on by the board. And hopefully we'll be back to 110% next year. So again, thank you all for your support in the past, and I hope it continues into the future.
Great, thank you.
Thanks, Darcy.
Do we have any questions?
I'll make a motion that we approve the $2,500 for the Bristol Warren Education Foundation.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? And a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next we have Warren Water Quality Testing. Hello.
Well, and I, along with Steve Thompson, coordinate the water monitoring program for Warren. First of all, I want to thank the manager and also the town council for your continued support. We are moving into our 7th year of water monitoring, and we have 14 volunteers. Last year, we increased our sites from 5 to 7, thanks to you, Joe. And we have 2 sites in the Kicking River. And so you're probably wondering why the price has gone down. It's because last year, with the 2 additional sites, the town managed paying for that because the foundation we had already set aside funds. But this year, we are increasing ours from 2 to 3, and you're going from 5 to 4. So you're actually going from 35 to 20. So anyway, we monitor the sites and we test for chlorophyll, for salinity. The tests go to URI, and they're monitored. Their testing is done by the watershed program at URI, and I have a report here that I sent to Kate, but I'd love to send it to all of you. There's a lot of information here on all of the testing that's done, and this really gives a comprehensive view of many years. So it's a really great report.
Can you send it electrically?
I will.
Yeah, if you either you can send it directly to us, or
I will.
if you
I'll
send it to
do
the
that
clerk
first
and then
thing in
she
the
can
morning.
forward it. That would
Yeah.
be great.
Yeah.
Thank you.
So Julie, how do the numbers look over 7 years? Are they getting better, or are they?
Well, it's interesting. There's weather conditions. It actually has some have risen, some have stepped down. So
Depends on conditions.
depends on weather conditions.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Interesting. Good to have that information.
It
I'm sure
is.
There's a lot of utilization for that.
Because we're basically, keeping track of the conditions of the water.
Any other questions from the council? Can we have a motion?
Make a motion that we approve the $2,800 for the Warren Water Quality Testing.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very
Thank
much.
you.
Thanks, Julie.
Next, we have the Neverland Children's Theater. Is there anyone here to speak on that?
I'll make a motion that we approve the $500 for the Neverland Children's Theater.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Next, we have A Sense of Pride. Anyone here to speak on that?
I'll make a motion that we approve the $500 for the Sense of Pride.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? All in favor? Aye. Next, we do not have any from Federal Blues. Did they disband? Or we just, anybody know?
There's nobody here from them, but they're just not looking for money anymore.
I think they just haven't requested any funds.
Okay.
Okay. The next, we have the Warren Armory. Anyone here to speak on the Warren Armory?
Motion to approve.
So I just want to make a note on the Armory, since it's a significant difference than last year, if you don't mind. I met with some of the folks from the Armory, and obviously COVID related, they're struggling to pay bills. So they had asked for an increase to cover the cost of utilities for that building. It is a town-owned building with a long-term
I was
lease.
going to refresh the memory if anyone needed it.
So what I'm recommending is, they had asked for 12,000, I'm recommending 10,000, but this is a one-year thing. I think if, long-term, if the town's gonna take over utilities on that property, we need to revisit the lease. So I would see this as a true grant for a 1 year, obviously to make up for costs lost or opportunities lost throughout COVID, but I expect this will have to come back to the council if there's a long-term change in the way those bills are paid.
We have a motion. Joe, it's for the 10 as presented by the,
The 10.
we have a
I'll
motion.
second that.
We have a second. All in favor? Aye. Okay. Next, we have Warren Barrington Rotary Club. Is anyone here to speak on that? Okay, do we have a motion? Do we have any questions?
I'll make a motion that we approve the $3,000 for the Warren Barrington Rotary Club.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Connect Greater Newport, there's nothing requested. Next, we have Wildlife Rehab Association.
I'll make a motion that we approve the $500 for the Wildlife Rehab Association.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
Okay, next we have Maiden Warren, no request. And then under that, we have the Collaborative.
Motion approved.
Oh, looks like somebody want to.
Please come on down.
We don't want to take away his thunder.
I hope you don't take away his money.
Hi,
Hello.
I'm Uriah. I'm the director of the Collaborative. I do, like everyone else, want to thank the town council and the town manager for the support over the years. We're in our 7th year. We just had our 6th birthday, doing art type things, and certainly the support from the town helps us in a lot of ways. We have our big fundraiser in August, the Warren Folks Festival, which if you've not had a chance to come, I invite you. This year is August 20th, a Saturday. And we're also this year going to do the Folk at the Farm at Furch Farm again, which was a successful fundraiser that we did spur of the moment last year, and we'll do it again in October. And so lots of community events and lots of cool art stuff. So again, thanks for the support.
Thank you.
A lot of your events are at no cost, even for participation, right?
Correct. I would say, I don't know the percentage of it, but almost all of our programs and events are low cost or no cost. We try to keep it free. We have the Warren Art Academy, which will be in April for middle and high school students to take art classes for free. That's coming up soon, and we try to do that. So any support we get from other places certainly helps.
Okay, we do have a motion from Councilman DePasquale. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. Okay.
Thank you very much.
Next, we have American Indian Study Committee / Heritage Day. Hello.
I'm Dave Weed from the study committee from last year, and we appreciate your support last year. Even with COVID and a very short time frame, we were able to put on a nice event there. I think a number of you were there, and I know Carrie spoke, and we plan to do the same kind of thing right after the International Indigenous Peoples Day that we celebrate every year. We'd like to have a larger event this year. We're planning to have a food truck that will come up from South County that will make available indigenous food so people can have a chance to eat, and we'll probably start the event a little earlier because of that. But when you have food, you have more expenses, and in order to do some table and tent rentals, last year we just made it with the rain. But I think we probably would do better off with about 3 more canopies for that in that event, and do some more advertising. We did 1 run in the East Bay newspapers, which did bring a number of people, but we think 2 runs would be even better so that people will have a little advance warning a couple weeks in advance. So with all of that, we'd like to increase the request by $500 to $2,000, which will match the Poconoka tribe just successfully got a $2,000 grant from the Rhode Island Council on the Humanities. So they're going to pay for craft items and other things. This is all free. They're giveaways, and we'll have booklets available for people about the history there. So appreciate your support.
Okay. Any questions from the council?
Dr. Weed, do you plan on having it in the same area right there?
Yeah, we've considered, I was just talking to Tara, and there's some difficulties if we move down below, particularly because she has a concert that comes in for 5 o'clock, and they will have food trucks and setup and things of that sort.
So you're gonna be in the same place?
Yeah, I think so. There's plenty of shade up there. It may be a little tighter with more people, but we think we can accommodate people.
This is the location behind the tennis courts.
Yes, right.
Okay.
Any questions?
Looking for a $500 increase.
Oh, and we want to make a motion. The manager suggested 1,500. Do we have a motion?
I'll make a motion that we approve the $2,000 request as put forth by the Department for the American Indian Study Committee on Heritage Day.
Okay, we have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Good
Kate,
luck.
Do we have a new number for the bottom?
Is it 373-019?
Yep.
Okay.
Could I have a?
I'll make a motion that we approve the total appropriation for grants and contributions to 373-019.
We have a second. Second. All in favor? Aye. Okay, Kate, where do we need to go next? We need to start approving the numbers now, right?
Yeah, we have a couple other line items that I'd like the council to review based on conversation from the last meeting.
Okay.
One of them is a new item. If you go to finance, there's one item, one number that I believe would like to request that the council revisit for the outside services. There's an increase in the cost of envelopes. So what was requested and what was approved last time was $17,723. I'd like to request that you increase it at this time to $18,288 so that we can actually put things
Outside
in envelopes.
services, 8 of 24.
Envelopes have gone up.
Envelopes have gone up.
Paper.
Okay, do we have a motion?
So what is the,
I
you want it to go to 18,288?
18,288.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the line item for outside services to 18,288 as presented by the manager.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye. New number for the total treasurer tax collector?
273,730.
Okay, I'll make a motion that we approve the 273,730.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye. Okay, now, while we're here, can we do the total for financial administration?
Okay, possibly.
What page, John?
We're on page 8.
Yep, you can.
Does that reflect the new change? That number on our packets, 387,166?
Yes.
Okay. Could we have a motion for 380,166 for the total for financial administration?
387.
Yeah, so
387,
I'll make a motion that we
166.
approve 387,166 for the total financial administration.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Where do you want to go next, Kate?
Town manager, it's town manager and town clerk, both those departments, but I think if we approach town manager first, we had,
6.
we had discussions about how to staff the town clerk's office, and I did speak with the town clerk today. So what I'm proposing is that this line item here for part-time clerk and the town manager, that's the part-time clerk who's assigned to the town clerk's office, but who floats out throughout other places in the building. So what I'm requesting in that line item now is $19,148, which represents 19 hours of work for that position. And then if the council would like to entertain that, what we would also do if you, and I don't want to confuse things by mixing departments, but what we would do is to request another part-time person for the town clerk's office who would be assigned solely to the town clerk's office at 25 hours per week. So I believe in this way we could alleviate some of the burden on the town clerk's office, have that part-time person at 25 hours assigned solely to the town clerk's office. And then if there's additional work that needs to be done, then we'll come back to you next year with the request for a full-time person based on the experience over the next year. But this would give the flexibility, this part-timer that's under my budget during the peak times of the town clerk's office, that person could also be in the town clerk's office to give that extra assistance.
So if we approve, we're approving this, and then we're gonna go to the clerk's office.
Correct.
Two separate issues. Motion to approve page 6, the town manager part-time clerk.
I will second that.
A motion and a second, all in favor?
Aye.
Now, should we go to the 215,487 is correct with that approval?
Yes.
Could we have a motion for the total for town manager in the amount of $215,487?
So moved.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
And what page is the clerk?
I think it's on page 5.
5. So motion to approve 25,194 for a part-time clerk.
And I'll second that.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
And can I have a motion for
I'll make a motion that we approve 353,493.
You have a motion? Do we have a second?
Aye. Second, sorry.
Oh, you want a motion and you want a second and you want to vote on it? Jesus. Can we go home now?
Bound to happen sooner or later, right?
Power's going to his head.
Oh, yeah.
Okay.
Oh, yeah.
We have a motion. We don't really have a second yet. Well, we have a second. All in favor? Aye.
I'd like to make one more note too.
It's gonna end up on a blooper reel.
I just want to make clear that, and something that I didn't make clear at the last meeting about the Charter Review Commission and the process for the charter. While they don't have a line item in the budget, there is work that needs to be done to codify the amendments once they are approved. That falls under the town clerk's budget. So that's already built into this budget that you see in front of you that you just approved.
Okay.
But I just want to make that clear that that does include the codification of the charter once that process is completed. Just so that there's no question about that.
All right. Are we going anywhere else? Is that wrap it?
Well, under revenues, we still got.
So you haven't approved the number on non-tax
Right.
revenues?
I mean, but before we get to revenues, everything else, that wraps up everything on capital and operating?
Yes.
Okay, good.
Well, possibly not. There is still the policy that the manager has proposed that could have an impact on operating.
Right, so the policy that I proposed regarding the non-union supervisory employees that you see within your budget, that's the number, the dollar amounts that's increased, that's associated with implementation of that policy is incorporated in that operating budget.
Did you say is?
Is, yes, is.
So
The number we approved includes your policy.
Correct. But I don't think I made that clear at the last meeting either. I know I mentioned it, but I just wanted to make that clear.
so that includes longevity.
It does.
Okay.
Now, the policy itself, in order to implement the policy, I'll have to come back to the council for a specific agenda item for adoption of that policy, but the budgeting work has been done and is incorporated in this budget.
Now, Councilwoman Cronin, you did want to revisit that. Is that what you wanted to revisit?
Well, I think that with the implementation of this policy and approving what is being suggested here and going back to longevity for non-union supervisory employees who've been hired after April of 2006, it will address some issues. But I think that we cannot ignore the fact that we have some real inequity and some real way below or at the bottom salaries for certain department heads. And I can say specifically our finance director, who is at the very bottom of the pay scale and doing quadruple duty in their job description. Whereas in other municipalities, there's 2. And our town planner is also way low on the pay scale and bringing in millions and millions of dollars in grant monies. And I know we don't pay for the person, but we do also have to retain these jobs and these positions. High performing. Further, we did approve at the prior budget meeting, the 2% increase, which is across the board as we do according to our policies for wage increase. There needs to be an amendment there because that includes language about financial town meeting, which we no longer do. That's no longer part of our policy. But this across the board wage increase, but we have, all due respect to Mr. Clerk, who's just come on as a DPW director, an instant 2% increase to his wages. Not been on the job for more than a minute. And we've also increased our building inspector, who's also by 2%, who's also only been on the job for a matter of weeks, a month, not sure. Okay, so very, very soon in. So I feel like we could maybe do a little readjustment of that money and more fairly compensate people who've been with us for all this time doing this work, get us on the map, get the job done, and move forward with that. Next budget cycle, when it's more appropriate and
Any questions from council members?
No, I'm going to echo a lot of what Kerry's been saying. I've had several conversations with the manager about, revisiting this subject matter. Kate, are you planning to bring us back like a scale that you're thinking of working on?
Yeah, you'll see in your packet, there's a revised policy, and that does have a longevity scale contained within it.
Okay, I mean, and then just a further comment on, folks come to work in the public sector as a calling, as being a prior public servant and still serving the public. We do that knowing that compensation is always going to be a little bit on the low end. However, with that said, the longevity piece of it does keep your qualified folks in place and involved and incentivized to stay here. So I'm eager to see what the manager is going to bring back to us, and I am definitely open to this conversation.
So the scale that's presented and that's incorporated in the budget begins at 5 years with 4%, and it tops off at 20 years with 7%, which is in line with our collective bargaining agreements, the newer hires under collective bargaining.
Now, the one thing that I would just respond with on that is that department heads very rarely, even though it does occur, come up through the ranks. They usually come from different municipalities. So the 20-year end date may not be actually realistic for, and nothing against you publicly or personally, Bob, but I don't think you ever intend to work here for 20 years. That would put you.
You definitely, yeah.
Yeah.
You
Well,
definitely plan on working here for another 20 years.
Yeah.
At least.
Yeah. So, but regardless, I mean, that's kind of low hanging fruit, something like that. But yeah, I believe the scale would be appropriate.
So if I could,
sure.
I think it's inappropriate to actually look at what people have been brought in at and look at the next budget cycle as an instant increase. It's when we have department head turnovers, we've used some pretty creative funding sources to make people feel comfortable with the salaries they have. If somebody comes in and the budget starts the way they have, I don't think they should be called out at all. And I think that that's just wrong. Secondly, I think that if we're going to start going down this road, because I've been here long enough to hear huge arguments over $600, everybody deserves more. So how do we pick and choose? What we've done with these increases is to bring positions that weren't at they were on hold, and we brought them whole. I think that the people who are here, sure, they deserve more money. I think to start trying to identify who, how, and what, that's dangerous. I don't want to participate in it. And I'm happy that the people who've come in have come in where the calendar has been favorable, because the flip side is there are people who've been here and the calendar isn't favorable. So that discussion point and the way that was presented, I don't think is as proper as it sounds to my ears.
Councilman
Well,
Eckert?
although I agree with Councilwoman Cronin that, you know, if somebody's come in to work on right at budget time, I mean, do they deserve the same actual wage increase that they didn't sign up for? I mean, essentially, it's again. So I mean, I get the argument, and I think it's worth considering that.
Yeah, it can be looked at that way. Also, it can be looked at that it's not the person, it's the position. The position was there. The cost of living goes along with the position, not so much the person. You know, we always try to look at as our jobs as the position. The position was there. The position didn't just come in at budget time, but the cost of living for whoever is in that position is still going up as well. So it's not the person, it's technically not the person we're giving that money to, it's the position to keep the position in line with the other positions and other positions in other communities. So I can see both sides of the coin, but we always try to look at it as the position and not the person. So I don't think that the time of the budget should affect the position, although one person may get the benefit of coming in right at budget time. One person may not, but it's the position that we're giving the raise to, not the people and not when they got here.
Okay, so if we, you know, if we're looking at the position and not the person, I mean, you look at the inequities in what we pay, like finance director or, you know, the planner. I mean, case of the planner, I mean, he does bring in millions of dollars in grant money, and we had created a grant writer's position, $2,500. I mean, you should actually get that money because he's doing that work. I know it's part of his, you know, his job to bring in grants, but he's doing extraordinary work in bringing grants and quite frankly, good public attention to the town of Warren. So I don't know. I think sometimes you have to look at these things.
Yep. Do we want to go through each position one at a time? Do we what we just made the fire chief go through for his, do we want to rewrite these job descriptions and then come back with them so we can actually see it instead of just, you know, looking at it? We made him come back with a new updated job description to authorize the increase for the fire marshal. Do we want to follow that same procedure?
I base a lot of what, you know, I was saying on the fact that we are never going to be paying our department heads at the same level or scale as larger communities. That's obviously never going to happen. There is a lot of attractiveness working in a small town like that is a lot to be said for it. But our population is increasing. Our value of our properties we are developing. We are growing that. At some point, you have to acknowledge the fact that it takes a little bit more effort and possibly for more support in the building or better compensation to those department managers who are, you know, growing with our growth and compensate them appropriately. We are really low end for some of these very valuable positions, and those department had very attractive to other communities who might be more. And it's we have to figure out how are we going to maintain who we have here. This in no way undermines the other department heads, or this is not to say that the other department heads who are on the precipice of either 5 years or whatever who are also doing excellent work, who are sitting right here in front of us, don't deserve. I just think that there's greater inequity in certain places. But this will really address those issues for a number of them because they are all either at or just over the mark. So I think that would really help. But I don't disagree with the idea of really looking at the job description, seeing how that pencils out as far as value for the rate that we're paying them, and compare it to other similar communities, see where we're at.
I'm not sure if we need to go through that exercise. I mean, we've talked about it numerous times about where we rate on the scale of, where we compare to other communities. And we're all in agreement that we're relatively low. We're beyond, we're not the bottom of the barrel, but we're down below, but we're restricted by our overall budget. But as far as the longevity goes, I mean, if it's 4% for the manager's position, then it's going to be 4% for the planner, for the building official, for the fire chief.
It wouldn't apply to me, just so you know, because
All right, so I'm just-
myself and the police chief. it
Yeah, I'm
applies
just,
to
in the
different tracks.
police chief's position already has it. The fire chief, I don't believe does. But public works doesn't, so your other department heads, I think we would have to just, it's 4% for the department,
At the time. not
Yeah,
yet.
I don't think we can start. Yeah,
Right.
well, yeah, I don't just think we could say, well, it's 4% for the fire chief, but it's 3% for the building official, and it's, yeah, no, yeah.
No.
Yeah, and, yeah, I mean, I think in the course of doing business moving forward, it needs to be something that has to be addressed either now or at another budget cycle, because it'll help us retain these folks from staying in the position. And it's still going to be on a compensation level. It's still going to be, they're still going to be lower than their counterparts in different communities.
No
Yeah.
question.
Yeah.
But if you look at again, we receive the salary reports, and if you look through those, and you can see where the discrepancies are, like
Sure.
dramatic discrepancies. So,
Yeah.
Yeah. I think
Yes. So is this something that we need to take action today? Or
I don't, Kerry, do you have a motion you want to make about this, or do you want to just wait till when we get that at the full, because she's going to bring that's got to come through a council meeting, correct? Yeah.
Correct.
Yeah, I'm comfortable with that. I just wanted it to be.
Okay.
Probably so that everybody knew what we were doing.
Okay.
If I could, what I think could be helpful, if there are job responsibilities that certain departments are doing that they feel is above their standard compensation, that is a different story. I think that just like, and I can't remember the specifics, but I remember the building official, when we looked at salaries, was attending different meetings and hours and other responsibilities that I don't think people were aware of, that were taking up many more hours than we had assigned. And as I used the definition earlier, if we've tried to use a lot of creativity in compensating.
With stipends. and
So,
things.
if there is a potential department that feels that they're doing more outside work than is originally under their job description, I wouldn't mind hearing that. But I know everybody wants more money, but I have sat through a lot of meetings where at the bottom number at the end of the year, we're arguing over $600 or $400 when you start looking at a 3%, 4%, 5%. I think that if, sad reality, if people don't feel like they're getting their money's worth in the town of Warren, unfortunately, we could lose somebody. I don't think adding, a 1% or 2% increase is going to retain somebody. And if that's the case, they should bring that request forward to the manager and have the manager speak directly to the council as the charter requires, so that we don't just look at the numbers. We look at the reasons why. If somebody feels undercompensated, because if we start, and I've sat here forever and listened to what my department brings in and this and that. So you have DPW, they don't bring in anything. You shouldn't even get paid. You've got the treasurer's office, they bring in everything. They should get a Rolls Royce. That's not how we look at budget processing. If the town manager thinks that the person is doing that position, that's her responsibility. And that's the recommendation that comes to the council. That's my 2 cents.
Okay, so we don't need a motion or anything on that. Where we're at now, Kate, is now we need to go to the non-tax revenue. Did we do some of this last budget hearing?
Yeah, you did everything except for, I need to ask you to revisit the excise tax, non-tax revenue. There's a new calculation based on our updated rateable base for automobiles.
I think it's way at the end.
So that number goes to 857, no, that number should go to 868.71. The number that you approved was 857.351. So I'd ask you to amend your number to be 868.71.
We need to give us a.
Yeah,
we
that's
need to
gonna
get
be
there.
different. That's not gonna be the page we got. That's not gonna be in what we got
Is it here?
this morning.
Where are we?
Ms. Misha, was this on the printout you gave us?
Yes, yep, you'll see that at the very bottom of that page.
Oh, the excise state tax, I got it. Okay,
Yep,
so
and
not
it's
in
a
this part
revenue
here.
line item.
Oh, this one.
So it's a slight increase in revenue.
Okay, so the previous, budget,
wanted
we approved
867.
857,351, and she's looking now, for 860,871.
I'll make a motion that we approve in the excise tax state line for 860,871.
We have a motion. Do we have a second? Second. All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
So that gives you a new total of 3748942 for non-tax revenue.
Motion to approve this, that updated figure from the town manager.
I'll make a motion that we approve the updated figure and approve the amount 3748982.
Have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
And I do believe under operations, I'm not sure, did you vote on debt service? Because I don't have a number for debt service.
I don't think I remember hearing.
No.
Okay, so debt services, it's an actual calculation. It's 3,096,205.
We have a motion for the figure provided for debt service.
I make a motion that we approve the amount in debt services of $3,096,205.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor? Aye.
Aye.
Okay, so if we go back to the summary page, the first page,
Okay.
you'll see that there's some under, you have non-tax revenue, which you just approved. The capital budget with your amendments, the request for capital is 1,566,408.
Could I have a motion for that updated number? 1,005,000?
66,408.
Yep.
I'll make a motion that we approve the updated number of 1,566,408.
We have a motion. Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
We have revenue replacement. We tried to keep this to a minimum. We had a potential larger allocation for revenue replacement, but we can carry that forward for the next 3 years. So this is more of a minimal request
Okay.
using the ARPA funds. 225,000 is the request on that line item.
Could I have?
I'll make a motion that we approve the 225,000 as presented by the town manager.
Do we have a second?
Second.
All in favor?
Aye.
As I discussed in the budget letter, and I discussed when we discussed that, the line item for shared services for the post-employment benefits, we have some employees retiring in the next year that have significant longevity, so there's a significant payout associated with unused time. So what I'm requesting is that we transfer 250,000 from the OPEB account, and that would, we'll still pay a significant portion of it from tax revenues, but that would offset the kind of abnormal increase that we expect in the upcoming year.
I'll make a motion that we approve the transfer of $250,000 as presented by the town manager.
Do we have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
And then last year we had budgeted 181,591 use of fund balance because we needed to bring ourselves under the cap due to kind of tight spending and some really good revenue numbers. We're not going to need to use that in the current year. So my request is to carry forward 180,000 of that to use in fiscal year 23. Again, if we don't need it, we won't spend it, but to have those funds available again this year.
I'll make a motion that we carry forward $180,000 as presented by the town manager.
Do we have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Bristol Warren Regional School District, the number was approved by the Joint Finance Committee last week. That number is 13,780,322. I'd ask the council to include that in your budget.
We have a motion.
Do we need to vote on the net cost of government? That change?
You can if you want to. It's included in the numbers that will be voted on below, but if you want to vote on these separately, that's certainly fine.
So what's the number? Can you read it?
Sure, the net cost of town government is $12,615,989.
Net education.
Oh, I'm sorry. The education number is $13,780,322.
We have a motion. We don't really
I'll make
can't
a
really
motion.
change.
Yeah,
that.
no. I'll make a motion that we approve the $13,780,322.
Do we have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
The uncollectible reserve is something that we're required to have just in case we have tax bills that we cannot collect on. And the number requested is 60,000, which is what we consistently asked for. Ask the council to approve 60,000 for the uncollectible reserve.
I'll make a motion that we approve the $60,000 as presented by the town manager.
We have a second.
How did the total tax levy jump? Is that because we included the education now?
Yes.
All in favor of that last motion?
Sorry.
Aye.
The tax levy for automobiles, the updated number from the tax assessor is it's 1230040. Those are in thousands, but I'll simplify it because I can't count that high. So the number is 1230040 for tax levy automobiles.
Can I have that number again one more time? 1230040.
040.
Thank you.
Isn't that 1 million?
It's on page 2, Steve.
Yeah.
Oh, is it 1 million? Okay, it's 1 million, yeah.
Can't count that high.
Sorry, I thought when we get on further, you add some zeros.
You scared me.
I'll make a motion that we approve the $1,230,040 as presented by the town manager.
Do we have a second? All in favor?
Aye.
Okay.
The rateable base for automobiles stays the same at 61,502. The base is what it is, so you don't need to vote on that. The tax rate for automobiles is $20. That's set by state law. That's what's contained in the phase out plan. So again, that's not something that you have an ability to adjust. The rateable base for tangibles, that's the updated number is 39, is that's million, right? See, you're trying to confuse me, right? Okay. That's 39,761 is the updated number there. Let me just make sure that's not going out to. Okay. Rateable base for real estate, the updated number is $1,362,952. Again, that number is what it is. Pardon me while I carry it over. So the rateable base for tangibles and real estate combined is 1,402,713. I'd ask you to approve the tax levy for tangible and real estate. The total on that is $25,226,271. And that would require a motion.
Okay.
Yep, 25,226,271.
So moved.
Second.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor?
Aye.
Aye.
So that would result in a tax rate for tangibles and real estate of $17.98.
98.
So that's a new number now.
Yep.
Yes.
I had 92 here.
I don't know if I can do this.
Now, these decimal points are all going to show up in the right place when we get there?
Yes, Fung will check everything.
Okay.
So I need to do G55.
Get that many numbers, one decimal point's a lot. You got it, son, Rich. Yeah, it's gonna be on the agenda, yeah, yep. I think so, yeah. I'll talk to him this week.
Hold on just one second. I have to pretend I'm phone for a second.
No problem. Yeah, there's a plaque on it.
Oh, yeah. Oh, yeah, 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 yeah. Yeah, there you go. They're not too far. Yeah. I don't think of it. I don't, but I can see your point.
Yeah, I never thought of it either, but I
Yeah.
can see this. Yeah.
18 years. I know.
No, I need the function.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. Yeah.
They didn't. I don't know.
Was it?
Yeah,
that's pretty cool. Yeah, when it's in context. No, was he a teacher then?
Oh, yeah.
Math on the fly.
Okay, so now we need the motion. We got to do that whole bottom line now, call that. We did the total, didn't we? 25, 266, 226, 271?
Yes.
Now we need to do the tax rate,
Which is
correct?
$17.98.
Okay, can we have a motion?
You were right.
I'll make a motion that we approve the tax rate at $17.98 per thousand.
We have a motion and a second. All in favor? Aye.
So just to review, the levy increase, the tangible plus real estate, which is what the state looks at, with all the revisions approved by the council, the levy increase is 6.63% and the tax rate increase is 1.49%.
Can we have a motion for those? We should probably get a motion for those two numbers too, correct?
They follow from the numbers you already
Okay,
approved.
all right, good. All right. I think That's a wrap. We have, which one, do we have anything else outstanding that anyone knows of?
That is everything on my list.
Okay, so we have a budget. Good work, everybody. All right, we do have a motion to adjourn.
Second.
All in favor? Aye.